Okay, it's May 17th, 2011. It's around 5 o'clock a.m. and I'm filming a large cluster. It's an orb cluster, it's a hexahedron cluster, and it's maybe 30-40 feet off the ground on top of a tree, or just above a tree. There it is. Now it knows that I'm here. You can see that there are a number of smaller clusters that compose that hexahedron, and all those orbs flying around all over are part of it too. The glowing part and the glowing orbs make up the nucleus, and the rest of the orbs are flying around the nucleus, keeping it charged up, and at the same time the nucleus is a particle accelerator accelerating those other orb clusters counterclockwise and maintaining their velocity. It knows I'm here for sure. It knows that right away as soon as I turn the camera on. And I'm not sure how they know that, but they seem to pick up on the camera right away. So I'm not zooming in, I'm trying to get some distance shots so that I can see what's going on. I'll zoom in after to try and figure out from up close which orb cluster is doing what in the nucleus. But this is interesting. Now you're looking right at the nucleus, and it's composed of those glowing clusters. There's not one, there's more than one cluster in the nucleus. And all around it you can see all the millions of orbs just going around. Yeah. What it's doing, it's projecting particles right toward me. And those particles can be minute in size, minuscule. They're smaller than dust, but it can project them all the way to me where I am, which is about at least a kilometer or more from it. So I'm going to zoom in. Not that much, just a little bit, get a clearer look. You can see the individual glowing orb clusters, and there's quite a few of them, maybe 4 or 5, maybe more. They don't all light up at the same time. This is the time of the day, early in the morning like this, when all the orbs that were up in the air and atmosphere come down to the ground and on trees. So there's going to be a lot of orbs. The density will increase by a whole lot. I'm going to zoom in some more. And just a little less so I can see all of them. Okay. I ought to be able to see all of them in the frame. The center there, the large white portion is a plasma state. So there's 2 or 3 clusters there together creating the plasma, and that is the center of the nucleus. And top, bottom, and sides, there are other clusters that are also active clusters, and they're the ones accelerating the particles. And the nucleus is where all that movement and motion, counterclockwise motion, is directed to charge up the nucleus. So they're doing is really creating their own power source, just with their motion. They're moving at high velocity, and they're also at high frequency vibrations. The energy they're producing is electromagnetic energy, and this is turned into a form of electricity which charges up the nucleus and creates the plasma state. And you can see that the nucleus, the center of the nucleus, varies in what plasma state it's in. Sometimes it's like pure plasma, sometimes it's almost plasma, sometimes it's just halfway plasma. There are different levels of plasma energy, and it's not always at its peak. It depends on the motion and the speed of the orbs. And when it makes a hexahedron like that, then it's upset that I'm filming it, and that's sort of like a shield, and it means stay away and don't point the camera at me. Try to see which way the smaller clusters are being accelerated, and try to notice the counterclockwise rotations or the revolutions around the nucleus. Notice no orbs ever collide, they never hit each other, and look how many of them there are. There are just tons of them. So I'm going to zoom in on the center of the nucleus and that other cluster below, if I can get the both of them in. I'll have to wait till it lights up. But you can see where the nucleus center is, there's a lot of activity, and you can now see the speed that the orbs are going at. This is not that fast for them. They can move a lot faster. They can move so fast that you can't even see them. But when the cluster is larger, then the speed of the rotations counterclockwise around the nucleus gets slower because there are so many orbs. The closer the orbs are to the nucleus center, or the center of the nucleus, the faster their orbit and rotation. and the farther away they are, the slower their rotation. But the ones right there in the very nucleus, in the center of it, they revolve very fast around that center. And all these orbs moving around counterclockwise at pretty good speed, they create the plasma just by sheer momentum and motion. And it's the air that is turning into plasma from all the, it's being superheated, so the air is turning into plasma. I just want to show the one down here. You can see the great speed that they go at, and that's really not a high speed for them. They can really move fast. This is not a high speed for them at all. The more orbs there are in a large cluster like this, the slower they can move, because there's more of them to create the plasma energy and the electromagnetic charge to create the plasma energy. When there's only a few of them, they have to go very fast. But with this many, they can afford to go slower and will still produce enough energy to keep the nucleus or the center of the nucleus in a plasma state. You can see that it's continually being replenished, the energy is being replenished, and it's never allowed to go below a point where they got to start over. Even in the daytime, they move fast enough just to be able to light up into plasma in a millisecond. So they are not, they are never moving too slow that they have to start all over and get the cluster in motion. The cluster is always in motion 24/7, and this one has been here for at least 4 months. This one actually has made a lot of other clusters which are now all over the city of Toronto and the entire Greater Toronto area. There are thousands of them. Let me see if I can get even closer. No, I'm gonna get the thing out of the picture altogether if I go closer. This is as close as I can go to have the whole thing in. I'm not getting the top part in right now, but maybe if I can move it over a little bit. A little more over. Okay, I'll try it here. So I want to see the top left corner there and the bottom right corner and the center of the nucleus. So all those active clusters, the bunches of active clusters, they all make up the nucleus, and all those other orbs that are not glowing but just moving around real fast, sort of in their own clusters, they're still part of that large cluster. So there are clusters within clusters within clusters as you go out from the nucleus outward towards the edge of the entire large cluster. And there are clusters within all the different areas from north, south, east, and west on all the sides of the cluster. There are all these smaller clusters that are also rotating counterclockwise and creating electromagnetic fields. All that energy is fed into the nucleus and into the clusters which work along with the nucleus, that are not exactly at the center of the nucleus but are part of it. So that's like the inner circle, and they are all getting that electromagnetic energy to keep the entire cluster charged up at all times. The cluster is a hexahedron. It's hard to tell with the glow unless it makes a shield, but I think you can see that a lot of times it turns into a hexahedron. That's its normal and natural shape, and all the other clusters and orbs that make up the clusters are all hexahedrons. There are no individual orbs. Each orb is a whole bunch of clusters. I've never seen an individual organism. Every organism, no matter how small or how large, is a cluster. And it's very upset when I say that. This shows that it has feelings and that it's very intelligent, since it doesn't like what I'm saying. And now it's so big I can't see anything else except that. So I'm going to back off so I can see it. So what it does when it does that, it spreads all its particles all the way to me, and it's using all the other orbs that are not glowing, that are in the air between me and it, and that's, you know, over a kilometer I'm talking about. So it's using the air, which is full of orbs. It's like an ocean, and it's sending them all the way to me by teleporting them over here. So they can be here in a millisecond, and that's what it does. It teleports itself through the other orbs, using the other orbs that are between me and it as a medium, almost like water. Just think of if I was in the ocean and it was over there, and it would send all these particles through the water to me. Well, it's doing the same thing, except it's sending them to me through the air. So there's so many of them that they've created their own medium in our atmosphere and in the air, in water as well. And now they're doing it through solid objects. So by having a medium, they can teleport, because all of these orbs and all of these orb clusters, they have or they can have the same general qualities, so they can interchange position with any other orb or any other cluster, no matter where it is. They just teleport themselves and take that other cluster's place, and that other cluster takes their place. So that's how they do it, by transforming and teleporting from there to here and then back. But the energy is never lost, it is only transferred. And these are energy organisms. They are interdimensional energy organisms, so they can stay in this dimension, the third dimension, or they can leave. And this is one of the reasons why we don't see them, because they can just pop out of our dimension and disappear or vanish, and for all intended purposes they're invisible, because they're not even in our dimension when they do that. But they can also pop into our dimension just like that from any other dimension. They're not limited to any particular dimension. They can go in many dimensions, and they can exist in many dimensions. They have no limitation in terms of dimensions. These clusters can grow large in size, as large as planets or stars, depending on how many smaller clusters join in all together and interlock to form a cluster, a large cluster. And in the atmosphere high up here on Earth or out in space, there are really no size limitations because there's lots of room, and they can form huge clusters, very, very huge. And this is how they make the moon hologram and many other unexplained light-related phenomena that people are taking videos and pictures of or just seeing with their eyes.